Okay, a very good morning to India and welcome to your Millionaire Mind Experience. Before we get started, let me ask you the most common question you must have heard over the last 4 years. Am I audible and am I visible? And if the answer to both is yes, please type yes in the chat box. Let me quickly see how many of you can see me and hear me as well. Okay, I can already see a few yes coming into the chat box. And let me see, I can see from Abhinav, I can see from Akash, from Atul, then I can see a few from Kanupriya as well, Mahendra, Maithili. Absolutely great. Thank you so much for typing it in. Now, I know you might be wondering, hey, wait a minute. I am not able to see anybody typing in the chat box. How are you able to see it? Well, the chats are designed in such a way that I can see as a host, but you may not be able to see each other's chat. And the reason is we want you to stay focused in the session and not get distracted. But a warm welcome for your Millionaire Mind Experience. Now, before we start, I want to take a moment to first understand that which city is it that you have joined from. So please go ahead, use the chat box and let me know which city is it that you have joined from. Yeah, I can see a hi coming in from Abhinav, from Akash, from Tulika, Srinivas Reddy, Ramamurthy. Let's see, let me take a moment and quickly check. I can see you're from Gurgaon, from Hyderabad, from Pune. Where else? I can see from Mumbai. I can see from Chennai, Hyderabad. I love Hyderabad for a reason. I think the people there are extremely warm. Whenever I've been there, I've kind of had a connection with everyone there. So warm welcome to you as well. Pune. I am from Mumbai, and for Pune, it's like a brother to me, right? Every other weekend, we are there for sure. From Nellore as well, from Gurgaon, from Navi Mumbai. Kanupriya is from Navi Mumbai as well. Thank you so much for typing it in. Let me take a moment here to first express my gratitude and a big thank to each and every one of you for taking your time out and coming and attending this session today. Because I know for sure there are tens and hundreds of trainers out there who claim they have a program that will change your financial life. And there are so many people who fall for it. And then you realize, oh, it was just a trap. There's nothing valuable there. How many of you understand what I'm talking about? Type me in the chat box. If you know exactly about what I'm saying, that there are so many online sessions and trainers, how do you know that which is the right one for you, right? And I can see a lot of you typing in me as well. So well done there. Well, I want to thank you for trusting us for joining this session today because this has a brand name of Success Gyan. And Success Gyan is India's number one, in fact, Asia's number one when it comes to promoting seminars and organizing self-development programs. So you are in the right place. And for that, I want to express my gratitude that thank you for trusting us. And I will make sure that the rest of your time that you're with us for the next 90 minutes, that will be the best of your time. So I am ready to give my best to all of you. Are you ready to receive it? If you are ready to receive it, please go ahead and type R in the chat box. R means ready. It means, Abhay, I am ready. You go ahead and let's get started. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Abhinav. Thank you, Kanupriya. So on that note, let me share my screen. And if you can see the slides right now, just type yes in the chat box. So I know that you can see the slides. Great. Thank you so much, Srinivas, Akash, Kanupriya, Abhinav for typing in yes. And it's look like you're ready. And I love it. When you type R, some of you type R, 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 R. And that shows the energy that you're ready for this. So let's get started. Now, first, how many of you are here today to understand how can you improve your finances and reach towards your financial freedom? How many of you want that from this session today? Type me in the chat box. If you are here and you are looking for steps how you can be financially free and you can grow in your financial life as well, type me if you are here for that reason. Yes, thank you Achar Singh, thank you Abhinav, thank you Akash, thank you Rahul, thank you Ronak, thank you so much for typing it in. Well, you are in the right place because today we are going to see 4 steps on how you can reach towards your financial freedom. Now, I know some of you are wondering, yes, financial freedom, but what exactly is financial freedom? We'll talk all about it as we get started. But since I'm going to spend some time with you, is it okay if I take a couple of minutes to introduce myself? If that's okay, type okay in the chat box. So let me see if you're ready. Great. Yes, thank you so much for typing in okay. Now, I know some of you might feel, yeah, he's asking us so much to constantly type. He's asking so much questions. We have to reply. Why can't I just sit? Well, here's the thing. If you want to really grow from your comfort zone and grow in your financial life, then make sure that you're taking those efforts and constantly engaging so that you don't doze off to sleep and you learn something valuable. So my suggestion, be till the end because we have a very special gift for you at the end, and also make a lot of notes. Now, I know you are from probably thinking that I can just take a screenshot or a picture, but trust me, will you ever go back and check your gallery of your phone and check and learn from the screenshot? Well, that doesn't happen, right? And all of that, when you store in your cell phone, it just leads to cell development. And your cell phone is already smart. But when you write it in your own handwriting, it leads to self development. How many of you would want self development over cell development? Type SD in the chat box, which means self development. Let me see how many of you are ready for that. Yeah. Thank you, Kanupriya, Rasik, Srinivas. You guys are now up to it. You're like fastest finger first. So let's get started. Who am I and why are we here today? Well, my name is Abhay Valsankar. I'm a TEDx speaker and a business communication coach. So everyone, please go ahead, use the chat box and type Hi Abhay. It's like if a live version, like how you would raise your hand and say Hi Abhay. So please go ahead and do that so that we can get to know each other a little better. Then you can trust us, and then I can start with the 4 steps so that it values your time and my time as well. Thank you, Achar. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Sagar. It's so warm of all of you to do that right now in the chat box. As you see, I'm a TEDx speaker and I'm a conversation coach. I help people to improve their communication, convert it into a conversation, and connect with people. I help businesses as sales through conversations as well. And I'm blessed to say that I've been in this field for the last 10 years, have trained more than 50,000 participants across 40 different clients and 15 different companies and countries. And I'm also blessed to share that I've been featured in 100 plus publications across 15 countries, including the US, Australia, Dubai, etc. But all of this is great. One of the highest and the blessed moment of my life is when I received a national award from the 13th President of India, Pranab Mukherjee, for being the best trainer in the country. Now, I know you might be thinking, ye sab theek hai, this is all okay, yeah, teach us about financial freedom. Well, yes, absolutely, I'm going to do that right now. But just at the start, I wanted you to know that you are in safe hands. You don't have to worry about it. What comes to you right now is 100% value. How many of you believe that, yes, this is going to help you for sure? Type me in the chat box. If you have that belief that, yes, I've invested my time, I've invested my efforts, and it's going to change for sure. Let me see how many of you believe in yourself. Yes, thank you, Abhinav. Thank you, Achar. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Rahul. That's absolutely great. So I have 3 promises for you, which I make right at the start, and you keep me accountable for it. Towards the end, I'll come back and ask you that did I keep my promise? And then you need to tell me yes or no. So it's an open challenge. Let's see. Promise number 1, that time is going to fly by like this. Next time when you check your watch, you will already realize, yaar, ye to session khatam hone aa gaya. The session is about to end right now. It's going to fly like this. You know why? Because when you do something that you love, time flies by like this. How many of you agree to that? Type A in the chat box if you agree. That when you're learning, you're in the zone, you love it, you're passionate, time is no more a problem, right? It flies like this. Thank you so much for typing it in, Maithili. My second suggestion and a promise to you is that you're going to get a lot more value than what you thought you will when you entered. Now, I know some of you entered and you were very skeptical. Who's this guy? What is this success guy? And what is this millionaire mind experience? India, mein, there are no millionaires, they're crorepati. So what is this and what is all happening? I know a lot of such voices in your head right now. And those are probably like a prejudice, right? But what I want you to know is this, that towards the end, when I ask you, I'm sure you're going to tell me that you received a lot of value than what you thought you will when you get started. And my third promise to you is I'm going to help you with your next step towards your financial freedom. How many of you agree? Listen to this, that the worst feeling in life is when somebody gives you hope, you start believing and trusting them, and they suddenly raise their hand and say, no, that's it, done. How many of you realize giving hope and then taking away is one of the worst feelings ever? Type me in the chat box if you agree to that. That, usse acha mat do, don't give, right? But why are you giving hope and then taking away? So for me, that's like cruel. And that's exactly why. Yes, thank you, Maithili, Akash, Kanupriya, Ronak, Rahul. Thank you so much. And that's exactly why I'm not one of those. Success Gyan is not one of those who gives you hope and takes you away. No, we will help you with your next step, then the next, till the point you achieve what you want to. So these are my 3 promises for you. How many of you think if I'm able to fulfill these 3 promises, then the next 70 to 80 minutes for you are going to be valuable. How many of you are excited for that? Type me in the chat box, and the number of E tells me how excited you are. So if it is just ME, it's like me, CK, if I'm here now, I'll just learn. But if you're like me, I love that Sagar, I love that Maithili, that's what I'm talking about. That's the energy. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Raj. That's what I'm talking about. I can already see it in the chat box. Well done there. So let's get started. On the next slide, I'm going to show you random numbers. The numbers will be from 1 till say 9900. What is your job? I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds. Your job is you need to find the numbers from the random numbers in an ascending order, which means you find number 1. Then once you find 1, you look out for number 2. Once you find number 2, you look out for number 3. Like this, in sequence, in an ascending order, you need to find out maximum numbers that you can, starting from 1 up till 99. Now, if you directly spot 90, don't tell me 90. No. Did you spot 1, then 2, then 3, all the way up to 90? If yes, then let me know. So your job is in 30 seconds, how many numbers in sequence can you spot? Are you guys ready for this? Type R in the chat box if you're ready for this. Great. Thank you so much. So here we go. You have 30 seconds on the clock, your eyes on the screen. Your time starts now. Half time. 5 seconds to go. And your time is up. Please go ahead, use the chat box and tell me until which number could you reach? Could you reach number 3, number 4, number 5? Where could you reach? Kanupriya says 5. Ronak says 3. Maithili says 10. Sagar says 5. Akash says 6. 7, 6, 6, 5. Okay, lovely. Thank you. If I take an average right now of all the responses that I've got, it's fair if I say the average is 5 right now. Is that okay? Type okay in the chat box. If overall as an average of the entire group, I consider 5. Great. Thank you so much, Kanupriya. Thank you, Maithili. Thank you to Sagar. Well done there. Now, here's the thing. Listen to this carefully. I know a lot of you have a prejudice. Will this work for me? Now, listen to this. In a moment, in the next 10 seconds, I'm going to help you with a technique that will improve your performance minimum 2x. Minimum 2x. Which means if you're at 5, you will just listen to me. When you do it, you'll do more than 10 for sure. Are you guys ready to know what that technique is? Type R in the chat box if you're ready for that. Because trust me, once you get it, I'm sure 2x is not a problem. Some of you will do 3x. Some of you will do 4x, and that's my challenge. I am guaranteeing you 2x. You will do a lot better. Let's see. Thank you so much for all the R's in the chat box. So here's the technique. The numbers that you see on the screen are actually divided into 4 different quadrants. The first number is in the first quadrant. The second is in the top right. The third is in the top bottom, or the bottom right. The fourth is in the bottom left. And like this, in a clockwise circular direction, you will find all the numbers. And that's the technique or the tool that I've helped you with. Now I give you 30 seconds. Now please go ahead and find how many numbers can you reach in an ascending order in the next 30 seconds. Your eyes on the screen. Your time starts now. Half time. 5 seconds to go. And your time is up. Please take a moment, put it in the chat box. How many numbers could you reach this time around? Acha says 28, 25, 23, 32, 29, 27. Absolutely get 26. Wow, 24. Great. A minute back, the average of this entire group was 5. At this point, I can see everyone saying 24 and above. Even if I consider 20, which is on the lower end, you are at 5, you are at 20. That's 4x of your performance. Simply understanding the tool and the technique which I helped you. What's the lesson here? What's the point here? Understand this. Making money or being financially free is as simple as following a technique or a pattern or a template. It doesn't have to come from an 80-year-old. It can come from an 8-year-old as well. The point is, if you know that technique, will you implement it and will you get a result? Because as you saw right now, doesn't matter if you're from Hyderabad, from Pune, from Chennai, from Mumbai, from Navi Mumbai, when you followed a template or a technique, all of you got minimum of 4x for sure. So here's my suggestion to you. How many of you are willing today, over the next 60 minutes, to believe us, to trust the process, to use the tools and techniques so that you can go ahead and you can improve your financial state? How many of you believe and trust the process? Type me in the chat box. Let's see if you're ready to believe and trust the process, which will help you to become financially free. I love that, Maithili. You remember the me with a lot of E. Absolutely great. So let's get started. Now, be honest. The entire discussion is a safe space and it's an honest space. So let me know in the chat box. In India, how many of you agree what is taught in the college is not exactly what is required in the industry? There is a skill gap. How many of you agree to that? Type A in the chat box. A means agree. Great. Thank you, Abhinav. Thank you, Kanupriya, Maithili, Akash, Amit. Thank you so much. I've been an engineer myself, and I know once I entered the industry, it was nothing what I had learned in my college, right? The point is this skill gap has nothing for us to then improve and work on when you join a company. And that's why we have no idea about how to manage finances, which is so important. So it's not your problem. It's the system, which is a little outdated system. How many of you agree to that? Type A if you agree to that. That, the system is only such that is something which is helpless. And that's why we are the way we are. Thank you. And that is where sessions like this is your right investment of time and efforts to make sure your eyes open and you go in the right direction. So let's get started with the 4 steps that you have. Now, to change your life wherever you are right now, you may be in a good space, you may be in an average space, or you may be in a bad space. And it's okay. I have been through all 3 phases and I know it's okay to be there. But I want you to know there's only one single thing. To change your life, you simply need to stop doing what you're doing right now. Because if you continue to do what you're doing right now, you will continue to get the results which you're getting right now. How many of you this makes sense? Type yes or Y in the chat box. Y means yes. Yeah, thank you. Very simple, right? If I'm putting in the same efforts, I get the same results. So if you want to change your financial life or the status of your financial life in your life, simply you need to stop doing what you're doing and you need to start doing something which you aren't doing till date. And that is exactly why sessions like this help you to understand what are the different things that I need to do. So here we go. The first step towards achieving your financial freedom. Go ahead and everyone write this down. First step is the formula to understand what exactly is financial freedom. So everybody please go ahead and write it in the chat box. Financial freedom, FF, write it in your book and write it in the chat box as well. Financial freedom, FF, equals to PI greater than E. Now, some of you are like, oh my God, am I in a chemistry class or a mathematics class? What's happening? Let me help you break this down. FF is financial freedom. That's what we want, right? What is PI? Can somebody take a guess? Type out in the chat box. What's PI? Yeah, thank you, Sagar. Thank you, Maithili. Thank you, Ronak. Thank you, Kanupriya. Yes, you're absolutely right. PI is passive income. Passive income. Now, for some of you, you know this concept. For some of you, are like, what is passive income? I don't have enough active income. And what is it talking about passive income? So to help you understand in a very simplified way, passive income means when money flows into your account, even when you're sleeping, you don't have to do anything. It still comes passively. You don't have to actively work for it. How many of you now understood what passive income? Type PI if you understood what's passive income. PI. Yes. Thank you, Raj. Thank you, Maithili. Thank you, Kanupriya. Well done. Greater than your expenses. E is for expenses, which simply means what? If you have invested and managed your money in the right way, that will give you enough money to pay for your expenses. And the moment you reach this stage, this is financial freedom. Some of us think financial freedom is having 10 crores in my bank account. Well, if your expenses are 11 crores, you're going to be broke for sure. How many of you understand it's not about the absolute value of how much you have in your bank account? It's about how do you manage what you have so that your expenses are taken care of and that you don't have to really work for money. Money flows in even without actively working. How many of you understand the difference between the absolute value and the passive income, which is kind of recurring? How many of you get this? Type me in the chat box if you understand this. Thank you. Well done. Absolutely great. So this session is not for you to know how to make 1 crore, 10 crore, 100 crores. No. This is for you to know that wherever you are in your life, if you are earning 5 lakhs a year, 10 lakhs a year, 20 lakhs a year, how can you manage it and you become financially free? That is what is the session about. How many of you got clarity on this? Type me in the chat box if you understood this. This is not a get rich scheme. No, I'm not here to give you Ponzi schemes. Oh, invest this and you'll do this. No, I'm here to have a heart to heart conversation about how I was struggling in my life, about how I was making 7,000 rupees a month, living in a rented house, and how I just implemented what I'm about to show you today. And today I'm in a much better space, blessed and very happy to be here. And I know you are interested to know, Abhay, ye sab chhod. How much are you earning? What is your status today? How did this help you? Don't worry, I'm going to help you with everything throughout as we progress from this session, because only I can come from my story, right? Not anybody else's. So are you ready to get started with the very first step? Type 1 in the chat box if you're ready to get started. You can put the number 1 or you can also type ONE1. That's okay. Great. Lovely. Thank you. I love how Maithili is like, oh, 1111111, because the energy is seen in the chat box. Well done there. So here's the first point. Let's understand. And again, as I said, I'm here to have a heart to heart conversation, right? So is it okay if I'm vulnerable, if I'm honest in front of everyone? Is that okay? Type okay in the chat box. If you're okay in me being just plain honest and not trying to put up a show, if you're okay with that. Yeah, thank you, Maithili, because that's what reality is, right? See, success that you see is actually very shabby at the background. Nobody wants to share the shabby part. I'm willing to do so because I know I was in a mess, and I'm sure some of you also are. And that's the reason why you are here. So here's the first point to understand. Emergencies never announce their arrival. How many of you get this? How many of you realize it's not like they want to ring the bell, give you a notice upfront saying, hey, you know what? Next month on the 5th, I'm going to come. There's an emergency. Okay, be ready. How many of you realize that's not how it works? Type T in the chat box. T means true. It's like this, right? Suddenly you're walking on the road, la 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 la, and bang, life hits you hard with the emergency. How many of you agree that's how it works in reality? Type A in the chat box if you agree to that. Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Sagar. Thank you, Ronak. Thank you, Rahul. Absolutely correct. So here's the deal. The same happened with me. Now I'm going to be very honest here, okay, and a little vulnerable. I was at a state in my life, and this is a few years ago. This is just before COVID. And I was at a state in that point when I was doing a lot of trainings. I'm doing everything else. But at the end, when I cut down on everything, I'm just making 7,000 rupees a month. That's it. How many of you agree 7,000 rupees a month is a little problem? Type P in the chat box. P means problem. That yes, it is a problem. You cannot survive and sustain in a family. We are living on rent. I can't even pay the rent. The rent is 15,000. My parents are taking care of the rent. I can't even pay the bills. I'm feeling this small. If I ever go to a restaurant, which I hardly did, I would first look at the menu and then look at the right side first. How many of you do that? Let's be honest. Type me in the chat box if you do that. The right side meaning the price list, right? Look at the price. If it's 100 plus, no, Baba, I cannot. And that was exactly me at that point. Until one day, this is what happened. I got a call from my brother saying, unfortunately, our father has passed away. And I was out. I came back home. And when I saw him, and I needed to realize that there was so much which I wanted to tell him, but I couldn't. And I was stuck. And then I realized I don't have time to now be here and cry about it, because now I need to plan for the funeral. There's a responsibility coming in, right? And at that point, I went to the ATM, I put my card in, and I wanted to take out some cash for the funeral. Unfortunately, my account did not even have that much amount that I could use it for that. And then when I looked at the second card, I could get money out of that. And then when I saw the card, the name on the card, it was actually of my father. Which means I actually had to use his card to take out money from the ATM for his funeral. How many of you realize that's one of the most terrible thing you could do as a son? That's like the lowest low point in your life. How many of you can understand that? How many of you can feel that? Just type yes in the chat box if you do. And that was a terrible point in my life. And I realized emergencies don't give you a letter How do you manage? How can I be so irresponsible that I can't manage my finances and even do this? And that was a point I decided this is not done, Abhay. We need to do something about it. And I realized I know nothing about money management. For some of you, that's going to be a bulb on moment. Okay, that's going to be an aha moment today that you may think, Mere ko sab pata hai, I know everything. But I want you to be honest. At any given point, if you have that bulb on moment, that truth bomb, then just type in the chat box BO, which means bulb on, which means yes, ye jo bol raha hai, there's a click in my head right now, which I understood. And for some of you, that bubble is going to burst wherein we think, no, no, I know everything about money. I have enough lakhs in my account. But today you will realize, you know what? Honestly, I don't know much about managing money. And that's a bulb on moment. How many of you understand that? Type me in the chat box, ME me. If you understand that you need to learn no matter where you are in your life. And at that moment, yes, thank you so much, Amit, Maithili, Srinivas, Akash. Absolutely great. Thank you for being honest. It's a safe space so you can share for sure. And at that point, I realized that this situation should never ever repeat in my life. I need to take responsibility to manage the money that I have. And I started working. And I realized the first thing, I don't know how to manage money. So I should start learning on how to manage money. And that's what I did. And it only took one decision to turn the life around. And I started learning how to manage money. How many of you realize people say it takes years and years to change? Well, that's your way of defending yourself. That's a defense mechanism. The reality is, change happens in a moment. It takes years for you to come to reality and finally accept it. How many of you realize this is another truth bomb? It's like a bulb on moment. Type me in the chat box if you understand that we always say, nahi re, change takes years, yaar. No, it takes a second. It takes one decision. It takes years for you to come to reality and accept that, yes, it is what it is. And that's where I realized, no, I don't know how to do this. I need to learn how to do this. And I started learning. And that's where I stumbled upon these 4 steps at the Millionaire Mind Intensive. And that's when I learned these 4 steps. And that's how I today, in a situation wherein I'll tell you towards the end how blessed we are as a couple, as a life, as a family. But before we do that, let's understand this. The third point, everything around us only keeps getting expensive. How many of you agree to the third point? Type A in the chat box if you agree. Yeah, I can see Kanupri, I can see Monica, I can see Shantanu, I can see Akash saying A. I'll give you an example, okay? I come from Mumbai. Can you type in the chat box and let me know, in Mumbai, what is the favorite fast food of a Mumbaikar? What's the answer? I gave you a signal as well. Tell me in the chat box. Let me see who here is a foodie. Yeah, I knew it. You are going to answer it. Everybody is right. It's the vada pav, right? And for me, I measure things getting expensive with respect to the rate of vada pav because I'm a true Mumbaikar. Now, tell me in the chat box very honestly, what is the rate at which you remember you had, like probably the first vada pav you had in your life? If you ever visited Mumbai or anywhere around you, wherever you are, just tell me in the chat box how many rupees, paise, or whatever it was. Let me see. Yeah, I can see 10, I can see 5, I can see 3. Absolutely correct. Thank you. I am from the category when I remember having a vada pav in Mumbai for 3 rupees. Okay. And this was way back in maybe late 90s or something. Now, today, when I go and have the vada pav in the same place, it is around 30 rupees for a single vada pav. Now, you look at that and you realize it has grown so much, right? It's not just 10x. Look at the percentage. It's more than 400%. But if you ask yourself, has your salary grown 400%? Probably no, right? It has probably become 2x, maximum 3x. But that's not 400% when you look at it. It's probably 100% when you look at all inflation and everything. How many of you realize the salary that you have is enough for now, perhaps, but it's not future proof, it's not inflation proof? How many of you get that? Type IGI, which means I get it, which means, yes, Abhay, what you're talking is the truth, and I understand that I need to figure out a way to manage it. Great. Thank you so much. And this is exactly the reason why we need all of this. So the first step towards your financial freedom is what we call as awareness. Now, first, let's understand, why are we the way we are? Why are you the way you are? What's the reason? Why is it that when you go to McDonald's, you probably take only Mac Aloo Tikki, not anything else? Why? There's a reason to it. Why, when you go to a store, you buy the cheapest product, perhaps? Why, when you go somewhere, you just think twice before taking anything? Why? You might think it is because of money. That's not the reason. The reason is what I'm about to share with you right now. Are you ready for this? Type R in the chat box if you're ready. Because if you see right now, my face is lighting up, right? Why? Because I'm super excited to help and burst those bubbles so that you can learn about how to be financially free. So here's number one. The reason why you are where you are is very simple. You're going to see it through this video and then you'll understand a lot better. In a moment, I'm going to play the video. And in this video, there are two set of peoples. One wearing black t-shirt, one wearing white t-shirt. What is your job? Your job is to count the number of times the black t-shirt people passed the basketball to another black t-shirt people. That's it. I'll repeat the instructions again. In the video, you will see white t-shirt people, black t-shirt people. Your job is focus on the black t-shirt people and how many times have they passed the basketball to the other black t-shirt people. This is your task. You need to count, okay? Is everybody ready for this? Type yes in the chat box. If you are ready to count the number of times we had a successful pass during this video. Let's get started. I can see a lot of you typing in yes. Here we go. Your eyes on the screen and we start now.
How many passes did you count?
Okay, let me know in the chat box. How many passes did you count? What do you think is the answer? 11, 13, 16, 14, 15, 12, 14, 22. Okay, great, lovely. I'll just wait for 5 more seconds. 15, 14, 13, 20, 18. Great. Let's see what the answer is. Your eyes on the screen.
The correct answer.
Well, the correct answer is 15. Give a round of applause for all those who said 15. But here's what I want you to do right now. I'm going to go ahead and show you something very, very crazy at this point. Okay, you counted the correct answer to be 15, right? Now here's my question to you. Be very, very honest. When I played the video,
How many passes did you count?
did you count the 15 passes and all of that is okay?
Correct answer.
But did you
is 15
actually
passes.
see a gorilla in
Did
the
you see
video?
the gorilla?
And be very, very honest. Type yes or no, whatever is your answer. Be honest. You might have seen right now, but did you originally see it when I first showed you the video? And let's be honest. Yeah, thank you, Akash. Thank you so much, Raj. Thank you, Hemant. Thank you, Shambhavi. Thank you, Shubham, for answering. Absolutely great. Thank you. And you know why? Because the reason being very simple. The conditioning and my suggestion for all of you was such that focus on the black t-shirt. And that's why we could never ever actually see the gorilla, right? Why? Because our focus is so much on one thing. So here's my question to you. Were you born knowing how to handle money? Type yes or no in the chat box. What do you think? Were you born knowing how to handle money? No, right? None of us were born knowing how to handle money. We learned it with a period, over a period of time. And that's exactly what it is. Now, let me know when I say money, and let's go back in our lives, because if you want to go forward, you need to understand from where we are coming, and only then we can go forward. So, the reason why we are the way we are, step number one towards financial freedom, is to be aware as to why we are the way we are. And here's the reason. Let me know in the chat box when you were growing up as a kid, and if the topic was money, what were some of the things that you heard about money? Some sentences or one line statements. Let me know in the chat box. For example, I heard of a statement growing up saying, पैसे क्या पेड़ पे उगते हैं? You know, money doesn't grow on the tree. I heard saying, सब problems की जड़ पैसा है. The root cause of all the problems is money. Like that. What were some of the sentences that you heard when you were growing up around money? Let's see what the answer is. Yeah, पैसे वाले घमंडी होते. The ones who have money are actually very arrogant people, right? And they have a lot of attitude and they're very proud. I can see another one, Tarun saying, पैसा आ गया तो सबको भूल गया. The moment you get money, you're going to forget everybody around. It's like your relationships will go for a toss if you have a lot of money. पैसे कमाने के लिए मेहनत करो. Yeah, you need to work very hard to earn money. If I see and read all the statements, what I see, absolutely great. I'm seeing it right now in the chat box, and all I can realize is, tell me once you read the statements and when you hear me say it, are all these statements positive or they're actually negative? What's the answer? Let me know in the chat box. Is it a plus? Is it a minus? Is it a P? Is it a N? What's the answer? Yeah, thank you. Absolutely great. Negative ones, negative, minus, minus, N, N, N. Thank you. You know why? It is not a problem for the society. It is a problem for us because we have grown in that environment where you see what you see on the screen right now. Typically, around money, statements that you see are all negative. Money is a root of all evil. How many of you have heard this? Type me in the chat box if you have heard this. Thank you. Most rich people have done something dishonest to get rich quick. How many of you realize if you don't have something and if somebody has something, then there is some part of you which is like, कुछ तो गड़बड़ है, दो नंबर का पैसा है. How many of you have heard people say that? Type me in the chat box if you have heard people say that. Absolutely great. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Maithili. Thank you so much, Ronak. Thank you to Rishabh as well. Well done. You know why? Because that's what we have been hearing once we have started. The third one, money doesn't grow on trees. This is a favorite one, right? And all of us have heard that for sure. It's easier for those born in a wealthy family. He's born with a silver spoon. How many of you have heard of this as well? Type me if you have. Great, thank you. Well, you want to know the reality? All of this. Now, listen to this. This is a truth bomb coming up. And if it's a bulb on moment, type BO in the chat box. Because the truth is, all of what you see on your screen is actually your mind's defense mechanism to be lazy and not take any efforts. It's your way of saying, uske paas to paisa is born with a silver spoon yaar. Are it's easier for them. Are aisa vaisa. You know why? कौन मेहनत करेगा? Who will take that much efforts? So just let's play the victim card and say we are from a different background. They are rich. That's your way of being in a self-defense mode because you're not willing to take that efforts. How many of you realize this is the harsh truth or the truth bomb? Type BO in the chat box if you agree it's a bulb on moment, right? That's what it is. Let's see how many of you can resonate with that. Thank you. Yeah, even silver spoon can be taken away. Absolutely true, Maithili. Yeah, thank you so much. Bulb on, true, true, me. Well done. Money isn't everything. You know who says this? Money isn't everything. Someone who's actually broke in their life, somebody who doesn't have money, those are the ones who say, Paisa kuch nahi hai yaar, paisa haath ka mail, it's nothing, this, that. The ones who don't have are the ones who say it. Have you ever seen a rich person say, I don't value money? No, no, no. Money is useless. They will always be blessed. They'll always be happy for the money. They'll never say negative about money. How many of you understand what I've said right now? Type yes in the chat box if you understand. You know why? Because how can you get something in life which you negate, which you are constantly cribbing about, you're negating? How will ever you get in your life that thing? You will never. And that's the reason we need to understand the reason why we are the way we are. And now we need to make sure what can we do in step number 2 to change the situation that we have. So when we were growing up, we heard something from our parents, from our family, from our teachers, from our friends, and that's called as verbal conditioning, what you heard. I'll give you an example. When I was growing up, I heard from my father, and he said this around money, saying, Abhay, in life, do whatever you can, but do not run behind 3 W's. Everybody type WWW in the chat box. Go ahead, type that, and I'll tell you what are the 3 W's. Some of you may already know it because you and me come from similar backgrounds, right? But still, everybody, please go ahead, type WWW. So here were the 3 W's he said. Number 1, Abhay, never run behind wine. Wine as in alcohol. And I said, agreed, done, thank you. Number 2, never run behind women, which means don't be like a womanizer and respect women in your life. And I was like, done, agreed. The third one, he said, never run behind wealth. Now, I want you to understand how many of you agree that we are truly, truly blessed and we are very grateful and have a lot of gratitude for our parents and our family. And it is because of their blessings that you and me, wherever we have reached, it's only because of them. How many of you are blessed to have a lovely family support and a great parent as well? Type me in the chat box if you agree. That kuch bhi ho, end of the day, it's the family and the parents because of which we are the way we are, right? Yes, thank you so much, Akash. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Amit. Lovely. Now, I'm going to give you a truth of, like a truth bomb or a bulb on moment. But how many of you agree that when 99.9 things are great with our family, there is that 0.1% stuff which is probably not that productive, which we have received from our parents or grandparents or family. Which means although everything is great, but there's little small thing which is not that great, it has also passed on to us along with the great things. How many of you understand and agree to that? Type yes if you understand and agree. That our parents, our family is the best. But sometimes their limitations pass on to our limitations. So my father grew up in a family wherein survival was the thing. It was never about wealth. It was about putting food on the table. How many of you understand what I'm talking about? Type you in the chat box. You means understand. And that is why for him, wealth was never a concept. He's like, are you crazy? Wealth, what's that? It's about putting food on the table. Don't think of wealth. Think of this. How will you put food on the table? How many of you can relate to that? Type R in the chat box if you can relate to that. Absolutely great. Thank you. So we don't blame them. What I want you to know is this: those times have changed. The problem for you to put food on the table is taken care by your parents. The problem for you to have a shelter is taken care by them. Now, the point is, where do we go as a generation? Do we go back to thinking just put food on the plate, or do we think about wealth creation? How many of you agree it's time for us to change the narrative and think about wealth creation? Type yes in the chat box if you agree that when you already have a launch pad ready, why do you want to go back in time and survive? You need to rather go up and thrive than survive. How many of you agree to that? Type yes, absolutely great. Thank you. So that is what he said. Don't go beyond wealth. And that is why throughout my life, I'm thinking, no, I don't want wealth. My father said, never go behind wealth. And it was only after I lost him that I realized the whole point is to have wealth so that all of these things could have been taken care of. He could have been saved. I could have been with him. I didn't have to work hard for so less money. I could have spent the last moments with him. How many of you realize wealth can actually solve a lot of problems in your life? Type me in the chat box if you agree to that. That no matter what people say, it is necessary, absolutely necessary. Thank you. So when I was growing up, it was the verbal conditioning that I heard from him. Sometimes we also grow up and we model our parents or family. And I'll give you a live example right now. Everyone, please go ahead. Whatever, if you have a phone, just keep it next to you. If you're from a laptop, great. If you have a pen, paper, leave aside and keep your hands like this in front of you. Let me see everybody's hands like this in front of you. Now, I know you might be thinking, Abhay, how are we visible to you? You can't see us. So how do you know whether I'm doing it? What if I'm just folding my hands and judging you right now? Well, I trust you enough because you are here to get an experience. So go full on, right? Participate at 100%. So everybody hands like this in front of you. And let's go ahead and clap on the count of three. Ready? One, two. Oh, what happened there? You can keep your hands down. Use the chat box and honestly tell me. I said let's clap on the count of three. But how many of you honestly clapped on the count of two? Type in the chat box and type 2 in the chat box if you are the one who clapped on the count of 2 instead of 3. Let me see who are the honest people in the room here. Yes, Amit is here, Ronak is here, Rahul is here, Maithili is here, Shubhangi is here, Aradhya is here. All of them are saying 2, 2, 2. Lovely. My question is, I said let's clap on the count of 3, yet you clapped on the count of 2. What was the reason? Let me know in the chat box. The ones that clapped on 2, what was the reason? Yeah, thank you. I love it. It's a boss we copied. Bhai, tune clap kiya. You clapped first. That's why we did it. And that's what I want you to know. When you are growing up, and that was a phase wherein whatever your parents did, you used to copy what they were doing. I've seen my friends, they have a little daughter, 3-year-old daughter. My elder cousin also has one. My brother has one. She will do exactly what her mother does. If a mother is putting an eyeliner, the little 3-year-old will sit with the eyeliner and try to put it. All my ladies in the room, how many of you agree to this? Type yes in the chat box if you do. All my sisters, how many of you agree to that? Great, thank you. Yeah, you're like copy, copy, copy. Yes, yes, yes. That's what we do. All my gentlemen, all my brothers in the room, how many of you agree? If you have a son, if you have a brother who has a son or any of your friends, the moment they see you polishing your shoes, wearing your shoes, they will also start wearing your big shoes and start walking and copying what you do. How many of you agree to that? Type A in the chat box if you agree. Yeah, thank you, Abhinav. Thank you so much. Well done. So what's happening? Subconsciously, you are just doing what your family is doing. Now tell me in the chat box, type it out. What is your mother tongue? What language do you speak at home? Is it Marathi, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Tulu, Urdu? What is it? Let me know in the chat box. Yeah, Hindi, Marathi, Marwadi, Gujarati, Punjabi, Telugu, Marathi. Lovely. Did you read or did you study or did you write your language 100 times before speaking? Or did you naturally just start speaking because of the family? What's the answer? Is it 100 times writing or is it the family influence? What's the answer? Family or writing? What's the answer? Let me know in the chat box. Yeah, family, right? Naturally. You didn't even knew how to write your name, but you knew how to speak your name. Why? Because the family. Now, imagine if you can speak Hindi, Marathi, Marwadi, Telugu, Punjabi because your family is that, Imagine if your family knows about money management. How many of you agree by default you will also learn money management? How many of you understand this as a concept? Type yes in the chat box if you understand that. Great, thank you. And that's exactly what it is. But unfortunately, money is a taboo in our family. In our Indian mindset, we don't talk about money. We'll talk about everything else. But when it comes to money, we don't talk about it. Is that the truth or no? Type T in the chat box if that's the truth. That, yeah, we don't really speak about money. I've never seen my parents openly discussing, hey, how much money do we actually have? What kind of a salary do you get in? What kind of a salary do I have? How can we save? Never. How many of you know what I'm talking about? And this is the honest truth, right? Yeah, thank you so much. They get stuck in trying to educate their kids. Yeah, thank you, Kanupriya. Absolutely correct. But they don't realize in that process, they're just modeling what they do. And the third one is a specific incident that might have changed your life. Like for me, passing away of my father was a slap on my face. It was a tag saying I was irresponsible. How many of you had such moments in your life wherein when you look into the mirror, you just can't see at yourself and you're like, this has to change? How many of you have had that moments? Type me in the chat box if you have had that moment. Yeah, thank you, Monica. Thank you, Kanupriya, Akash, Maithili. Absolutely great. So this is what I want you to know. Now, the reason is you might think, Abhay, then what's the next step? Why don't we change? What's the reason? The reason is this. By the way, how many of you are okay in having some fun while we learn today? Fun plus learning. FL. How many of you are okay with FL? Type FL in the chat box. Let me see if you're okay with that. Great. Thank you. That's how we learn, right? You can't learn sitting in a lecture. You need to learn having fun. So, everyone, look into your screens. You will see a person, you'll see an animal, and his name is Bhalu. So, everybody, please go ahead and type Bhalu in the chat box. Now, I know you might be thinking, Abhay, how is Bhalu related to my financial freedom? Well, I'll tell you in a moment. This Bhalu is very similar to us in reality, and I'll tell you why. So, once in this jungle, there was this Bhalu who's sitting on this big stone, and far off on the tree, there are two parrots, and the parrots are looking at Bhalu, and the parrots are wondering, this Bhalu is every time getting up like this, adjusting, and again sitting down in the same place. They're like, what's happening? So one parrot looks over and he checks for something. And he realizes that the bhalu is sitting on a stone and the stone actually has a nail. And the nail is piercing his back. And that's why there's a little blood there. So every time he's just adjusting to make sure that the pain reduces. So the one parrot is talking to the another parrot is, why is he not just getting up and going and sitting somewhere else? What's the problem? And the parrots are discussing. They're wondering, I don't know why. It is so stupid. Why isn't he doing it? But he's not doing it at all. Every 5 minutes, he'll just adjust, he'll get up and he'll sit again. And they're wondering what's happening. Until a few minutes later, a honey bee comes around and the bee starts buzzing around his head. She goes, and all of that. Now, obviously, the bear is trying to shoo away the bee, but it's not working out. So, because of that frustration and irritation, he now finally gets up. He cannot take it anymore, and he goes and sits on the other side of the stone, which is different, which is plain, which doesn't have a bee around as well. Looking at that, the parents are having a conversation, and the parents realize this. Hey, you know what? What the bhalu did is the bhalu was facing some problem, but it was not facing enough problem to take action. The moment bee came onto his face, it reached a level that he cannot take it anymore. He took an action only then. He did not take an action early. Why? Because it's kind of a comfort zone. It's okay, yaar, chalta hai. How many of you realize this is like a bulb on moment, a truth bomb that you and me are like bhalo in our life, that we are facing problems, but bill ho raha hai na, chalta hai. It's not big enough for us to go ahead and take an action, but it is still a problem, but not big enough to be a deal breaker. How many of you understand what I just said? Type you in the chat box if you understand that. Yeah, thank you, Kanupriya. She's like, so true, yeah. I've been like this in my life. I had been like this in my life until that moment when it shifted. Now, my suggestion for you is don't wait for an emergency situation. The B is an emergency situation. Don't wait for life to give you an emergency situation to then open your eyes and start talking about financial freedom and managing your money. Do I have your permission to be that B who comes around you and pushes you to take the next step so that you can join us, you can be at the MMI, and you can learn about financial freedom onto the next level, and you can improve your life. Is it okay if you give me the permission to make sure I be the B so that you don't have to wait for an emergency? I am that emergency for all of you. Is that okay with everyone? Do I have your permission on that? If yes, just say I in the chat box. I means yes, I agree to that. I am ready, and bring it on. We are all set. Yeah, thank you so much, Maithili, Kanupriya, Akash, Ronak, Rahul. Absolutely great. So here's a lesson for all of us. Where are we being bhalu in our life? Is it with respect to money? Now you need to type it out in the chat box and let me know. Is it with respect to money? Is it with respect to relationships? Is it with respect to career? Is it with respect to health? Where have you been like a bhalu in your life wherein you're just waiting for something hard or terrible or a bigger problem, then you will start to work. Till then, you're just pushing jalta hai. How many of you have been like that? Let me know in the chat box right now. In which area? Yeah, some of you might be students, some of you might be working professionals, a family member, retired. That's absolutely okay. But where in your life are you like a bhalu? If you're a student, is it with respect to your studying? That I'll study once the exam date is declared. If you're a consultant, what now? Yeah, Raj says right now in the situation, right? Absolutely great, Raj. Thank you so much for being honest. For some of us, we might be in overall situation. In money we are lacking, in relationships we have a problem, in career we have a problem, in health we are being a bhalu. We may be a bhalu all around. How many of you agree to that? Type A in the chat box if you agree to that yeah, probably sometimes in life I'm a bhalu everywhere, right? Yeah, thank you so much. And that's where step number 1 was knowing why you are where you are. Now we come to step number 2. Are you all ready for step number 2? Type 2 in the chat box. We are slowly getting closer towards your financial freedom, and it will open up a box for you to understand how can you reach there. So step number 2, where do you want to be? What is the clarity that you have? Where do you want to go in your life? What is the purpose of you making all the money? It is absolutely crucial. Now let's understand. Step number 1 was awareness. Why you are the where you are. Why are you the way you are? Step number 2, where do you want to go? What is your goal? What is your vision? What is your mission? What is your purpose? Why do you want to earn money? For that, let me give you an example. Now, what is common between these 4 teams? Who can tell me? Put it in the chat box. Let me see if you can just use your brain a little, and let's understand if you get this point. The 4 teams that you see are the German football team, the Indian cricket team, the Kolkata Knight Riders, which is an IPL team, and a Mumbai Indians team, which is an IPL team. Who can tell me what's common between the 4 of them? Anyone? Are they like any like a Lallu Panju team? Are they like that? Or is there something special about them? Who can tell me in the chat box? Let's see if we have any sports buff in the room. Yeah, I can see Ronak typing in that they are all champions. Absolutely correct. Thank you. How many of you agree the teams that you see on your screen right now have won their respective trophies? Germany has won the World Cup. Indian team has won the World Cup. Kolkata has won the IPL. Mumbai has won the IPL. How many of you understand and agree to this? Type A in the chat box if you agree to this. Great. Thank you so much, Akash. Thank you so much to Shubhangi, to Nitin as well. Well done. Now, here's the question. Listen to this carefully, and this will define everything for you. What if I told you, listen to this carefully, okay? What if I told you that when these teams won their respective World Cups or IPL or championships, there was one person who was common in each of the team when they won their championship? One person was common. He was present with the German team, with the Indian team, with Kolkata, and with Mumbai Indians as well. Who can that person be? Let me know in the chat box. Some of you are typing it, some of you are thinking, what? One person is common? How is it possible? That's it. I can see an answer coming up from Akshay, and Akshay says a coach. Absolutely correct. The commonality between these 4 teams when they won their championship was this guy, and his name is Mike Horn, and he was their mind coach. He was there for their mindfulness, and he was specially brought in for that. Now, what do I mean when I say that? He was there when the Indian team won the World Cup in 2011. He was there with Mumbai Indians when they won the IPL, with Kolkata Knight Riders when they won their IPL, and with the German team when they won their Football World Cup as well. Now, here's a very special story. Would you like to learn something about what actually happened in the 2011 World Cup and how India ended up winning the 2011 World Cup. You know, when Dhoni hit a six. Would you like to know in the next 2 minutes on what was the story behind that particular World Cup? Type me in the chat box if you would want to know. And trust me, once you know this story, you would want to share it to everybody in your family because it is so, so inspiring. Would you like to know that? Great. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Maithili. Thank you, Ronak. Well done. So here's what it is. In 2007, India lost the 50 over World Cup very badly. So in 2008, a new coach was brought in. His name was Gary Kirsten. How many of you have heard of Gary Kirsten? Type GK in the chat box if you have. Yes, thank you. Now, the moment Gary Kirsten come in, the first meeting he had was at Firoz Shah Kotla in Delhi, and they're all sitting in the conference room 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And he steps up and says, "Hi, my name is Gary Kirsten. I'm the Indian head coach, and my goal is to win the 2011 World Cup." So 3 years before 2011, in 2008, the preparations for the World Cup started. And he says, with me, we have Mike Horn, who will come up. He's your mental conditioning coach, and he will ask you one question. If you're able to answer that question correctly, if he's satisfied, the meeting is over. You can go and have lunch. Lunch is served there. So everybody's like, great. So Mike Horn comes up and he's like, "Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Horn. I'm your mental conditioning coach. And I have one question for you. Why do you want to win the World Cup in 2011? So everybody start answering. In 2011, we lost. So we want to take a revenge. Mycon says, not accepted. Well, IPL has just started. So if we won the World Cup, we get a lot of money in IPL. So that's the motivation. He said, not accepted. One answer, second answer, third answer, fourth answer. Listen to what happened. The meeting that started at 12 o'clock in the afternoon went straight for 12 o'clock in the midnight. No breaks, no lunch, nothing. They're all answering why do they need to win the World Cup. Finally, all the senior players are like, we don't want to win the World Cup. Let us go. We are hungry. Mycon is like nothing doing. He was playing with their mind, mental conditioning. At 12 o'clock midnight, 12 hours after sitting quiet, a young boy in the team, it was his first year in the team, a young boy raised his hand and he said, I know the reason why India wants to be and win the World Cup in 2011. Would you like to know who that guy was? Take a guess in the chat box. Let me see if you know who that guy was. Probably 2008, his first year in international cricket for playing for India. And he was none other than, yes, absolutely correct. Aradhya has got it right. Virat Kohli. How many of you heard of Virat Kohli? So Virat Kohli at midnight gets up and he says, the reason why India is going to win the World Cup in 2011 is, and then he says, for Sachin. That's it. Everybody is looking around. And then he goes on to say that Sachin Tendulkar has single-handedly uplifted the Indian cricket from nowhere to where it is today. He has played 5 World Cups, never won a World Cup. This is his last World Cup and the finals are happening in Mumbai at Wankhede, his home ground. He started playing cricket there. It cannot be a better send-off to a legend. It is our duty to win it for Sachin. When I say I'm getting a goosebump here. The moment he said this, everybody in the room started getting goosebumps. And that's when Mike Horn decided, this is the reason why you play cricket from now on for the next 3 years. And whenever they got into a hurdle, they'll put their hands, they'll go for Sachin. And that's what the team did for 3 years. So in the semi-finals against Pakistan at Mohali, India were batting first. For some reason, Indians did not get their lunch. Pakistan were having their biryanis. India did not get lunch. Everybody was complaining. The final semi-finals in India, we are not getting hospitality. We don't want to do this, etc. They're complaining. Sachin Tendulkar got up. Mike Horn was there. He's like, what was the reason? Why do you want to play cricket? They said for Sachin. Sachin got up and said, if you're so hungry, be hungry for runs, not for food. India batted without having any food. Sachin scored 85, became the man of the match. India won that match, later won on the World Cup. What's the point? If you don't know why you're working, what's the purpose? Why do you want to be financially free? There is very little chance that you will become financially free. Unless you know why. How many of you understand this is very, very crucial? Type me in the chat box. If you understand, you need to know why you need to be financially free, right? And that's the second step. Unless you know that, how will you ever get financial freedom? And that's where, let me know in the chat box. What's your reason? What are the fruits that you want? Is it about owning a property? You want your own house? Is it about having a car? higher education for your children or for yourself, traveling the world, better lifestyle, being fit, better relationships, money, etc. What do you think is your purpose for being financially free? Let me know in the chat box. Yeah, I can see Ronak saying travel, having my own house. Mitali is saying better lifestyle. I can see helping others. That's so sweet of you, Naresh. Maithili says, I need to have a good life and I need to travel. Okay, Akash says good life. Lovely. Thank you. For some of you, it is all, right? How many of you it is all for you? Type all in the chat box. Let me see. Yeah, absolutely great. The freedom to do what you want to. Thank you. And that's exactly what we need to set. You need to know what you want and then start accordingly. So step number 2 is that. Now, let me help you understand more with an example of this guy. His name is Pappu. Everybody go ahead and type Pappu in the chat box. Hi Pappu. Type hi Pappu in the chat box. Some of you are like, is this Pappu that Pappu? Well, no, this is a different one. So let's see what it is. And as we are having fun, you'll learn something important right now. So as you see in the background, Pappu has a tree, and that tree is an orange tree. And it has some of the most beautiful and tastiest sweet oranges ever. So Pappu takes an orange, he eats it, is lovely. And he has this tree he has every single day. Suddenly, a month later, when he's taking an orange and eating, it has become very sour. It is not tasty. He takes another, it's very sour. It's not tasty. He takes one more, it's not working out. He gets frustrated. He's like, these are not the fruits that I want. And he removes all the oranges, all of them are bad. He goes to the market and he sees a beautiful mango. It's very ripe. He takes that mango, he eats it. It is as sweet as possible. Now, let me know in the chat box how many of you love to eat mangoes? Any mango lovers in the house? Let me know here. Type me in the chat box if you love. And yes, if you are a mango lover, then which mangoes do you usually prefer and you love? I love, or what we call in Hindi and Marathi as the Hapus Amba or the Alfonso mangoes. What about you? Yeah, Aka says Hapus, right? Maithili says Alfonso as well. Hapus, absolutely great. So this guy Pappu goes in the market. He sees that Hapus Amba. He takes it, he tastes, it's beautiful, and he decides, I want 500 of these mangoes. So he takes the 500 mangoes, come back to the tree, and he starts stapling each mango towards the orange tree. And now he's like, from now on, we will get beautiful Hapus mangoes on this tree. Is this correct? Is this true? Is this the way things are? What's the answer? Is this how it works? Is it a yes or a no? Yeah, thank you. Maithili is like, no, that's not how it works, right? Great. See, we are smart enough to understand this is not how it works. But are we smart enough to understand, is it the same in our life? What do I mean? The fruits that you see are actually your results. And your results are created by your efforts. Your fruits are your results. Your efforts are your roots. Everybody type this in the chat box. Roots create fruits. Please type it. Go ahead and understand that. Roots create fruits. Which means what? If you want a bigger house, a bigger car, that's a fruit that you want. You need to take the effort which is equivalent to getting a bigger car or a bigger house. You need to change what is invisible to change what is visible. Change your root to change your fruit. How many of you understand this? Type me in the chat box if you understand this. Absolutely great. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Maithili. Very true. So the third step towards now achieving and changing those fruits is the what. You know what was the first one, right? To know where you are. Why are you the way you are? Number two, to know where you want to go. What is your purpose for life? Is it about getting a car? Is it about being financially free? Why are you going for it? And the third one, the formula. What can you do to get there? Would you like to know the formula? This is where magic happens. Would you like to know the formula towards financial freedom? Type FF in the chat box. FF means financial freedom. Would you like to know that right now? Let me see how many of you are interested. I can see a lot of you typing in FFFFF. Great. So here's the formula. You already know about awareness. You know about clarity. Now we come to the formula. What do you do to get there? So here's what it is. We want a different result, right? You want more money in your account. You want a better house, a better car, a better relationship. Those are all the fruits. That's the results that you want. Who can tell me what comes one step before the results? Type it out in the chat box. Let me see. Okay, I can see a few answers coming in. Some of you are saying action, some of you are saying belief, thought, strategy, planning, hard efforts, hardcore efforts. Okay, great. Thank you. All of you are right. The correct answer that we are looking out for is actions. How many of you agree you won't get a result just with a khayali pulao? Hey, I want to be rich. Ta-da, money. No, you need to take action. How many of you agree to that? Type A in the chat box if you agree to that. That it's all about taking actions. Great. Thank you. Well done. Now let me know what comes before actions. What's the word that comes before actions? Okay. Yeah, I can see a few of you typing in thoughts, words, feelings, clarity, planning. Okay, lovely. Let's see what the answer is. Your decisions come before actions. I took a decision on that day that never ever will money or wealth be a problem for our family. My mother should be happy, my wife should be happy. I took a decision on that point. And it took that one moment for me to decide, then to take an action. And then the result today is what I'll share towards the end. What is the result that I have today for us? Okay. Now, before decision comes feelings. I felt very strongly in that moment, and that's why I took a decision. How many of you realize all of our decisions, and listen to this, it's a Valpon moment, all of our decisions are actually based on emotions to which logic is applied. How many of you understood what I said? Type me in the chat box if you understood. I said, I'll repeat it again. All the decisions that we take are actually based on emotions to which logic is applied. How many of you understood this? Type you in the chat box if you understood. It's like this. Now, I have an iPhone. Why did I buy an iPhone? The real answer is it is a lovely feeling to have an iPhone. That's the honest answer. The feeling. Whereas if I ask somebody ask me, hey, why did you have an iPhone? It has a good camera, it has a good this, a good that, this, that. Those are the logical things which I'm now applying. The real reason is I was emotional. I love the feeling of having an iPhone. So you take an emotion, that emotion makes you take a decision, but then your logical mind is like, the world will think I am a stupid person. That's why let me find some good answers which can defend my decision. And then you start applying logic to your decision. How many of you understood what I said right now? Type me in the chat box if you can relate to this. Yeah, thank you, Maithili. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Amit. Absolutely correct. What comes before that feeling? It is your thoughts. It all starts with that, right? Your thoughts. I am thinking that I am hungry for a biryani. That's a thought. Then comes a feeling. Yeah, I'm actually feeling like having a biryani here. Let me take a decision, order it online. Then you get it and then you have the result. So it starts with a thought. But if you see, I've kept some gap at the top. What is that? Which means, is there something even before thoughts? If yes, what do you think is the answer? We already saw that today before in the presentation. But let's see if you know this. What comes before thoughts? What do you think is the answer? Absolutely correct. Thank you. Akshay has nailed it. He's like, it's nothing but conditioning. And you're absolutely right. Yes, thank you. It is your beliefs, it is your conditioning. Now, some of you might feel, no, Abhay, thoughts ke pehle kaise? How will there be anything before thoughts? Thoughts is the start, right? It's the center. I'll tell you why. It's actually your beliefs, it's actually your conditioning. And how? I'll let you know. I come from a Hindu Brahmin family, right? Which means typically I've grown up and my parents have always said, no eating non-veg. That's the conditioning on me. That's why when I go to a restaurant, I never ever think about ordering chicken. I never feel like having chicken. I never decide to order chicken. I never actually order chicken, or never do I already eat chicken. That thought doesn't even enter my mind. Why? Because even before thoughts come my conditioning. My friend is a hardcore Punjabi. He goes out, he has a simple thought. His conditioning is, if we are going out, it has to be non-veg. If you're eating veg and going out, then you're stupid. This is his conditioning. How many of you can relate to what I'm talking about? Type R in the chat box if you can relate to that. Thank you. Which means the decisions that we take, the thoughts that we have actually come from our conditioning. And that is very, very crucial. So let's see this. At any given point, we live in 4 different quadrants. Everybody write this down in your book, MESP, and in the chat box also write down MESP. I want all of you to, we want to go slow in this part because I want you to understand this. This is the most crucial part of our session today. Thank you. Well done. Thank you, Abhinav. MESP. M is mental. Now, what is mental? In your book, write down M equal to mental equal to your intelligence. Your intelligence. And it comes from your past experiences. Which means what? बचपन में टीचर taught you 2 plus 2 equal to, what's the answer? Let me know in the chat box. 2 plus 2 equal to dash. What's the answer? Yeah. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Maitri. Thank you, Abhinav. Thank you, Arjun. Thank you, Arun. It's 4. Absolutely correct. That's your mental talking to me right now. You don't even have to think about it much. It's programmed in your body. It's there. It's based on intelligence, past experiences. That's your first state, mental. Then comes your emotional state, which is all of heart, right? People think emotions means it has to only come from heart. It's actually all over. Emotions reside all over. It's your energy in motion. And the emotional part is what how we decide and we take decisions. Now tell me in the chat box, emotional, is it outer or is it inner? What's the feeling? Is it outer or inner? What's the answer? Yeah, thank you so much. Inner. I. Well done. Thank you. Let's go for the third one, spiritual. For a lot of us, spirituality has a different meaning for us, right? For some of us, spirituality is surrendering to the higher authority, to God. It may be for you, it might be to a respective God. It may be to Jesus, it may be to Allah, it may be to Ganpati, it may be to Krishna, it may be to anything that you follow. That may be one. Second, spirituality can you for you can be like doing a yoga and just connecting it to a higher self. That can be one. Spirituality for you can be actually serving others and in their happiness you find it. How many of you understand spirituality can be different for all of us? Yeah, thank you. Even to oneself, right? For me, spirituality is when I connect to myself. That's it. How many of you understand when I say I connect to myself? Type me in the chat box if you understand that. At that point, I'm spiritual, is what I feel. When I'm truly connected to myself, whatever I'm thinking is in alignment, my thoughts, my words, my action, it's like seamlessly it's working. I'm connected to myself. That's when it is. Yeah, thank you so much for typing in me. Now, let me know in the chat box, spirituality, is it outer or is it inner? What's the answer? Yeah, thank you so much. It's all inner, right? Well done. Then we come towards the last part, which is your physical self, actually the body and the results, etc. Now tell me one thing, the physical self, is it inner or is it outer? What's the answer? Thank you. Outer. Oh. Well done. Thank you so much, Sagar. Thank you, Kanupriya, Akash. Absolutely great. Now let's understand this. Three things are inner, one thing is outer. What is the outer? The outer is actually a result of all the things which are inner. Let me give you an example. Your mental state is inner, emotional is inner, spiritual is inner, physical is outer, which simply means what? Everybody understand this. The physical results that you have, the money in your pocket, the relationships, the house, the car, all of that is actually just a printout of what is your money blueprint when it comes to your inner self, mental, spiritual, and emotional. Which means if you work here, you will see a difference here. How many of you understood what I just said right now? If you change your roots, you will see a change in your fruits. If you get it, type IGI, which means I get it, which means yes, Abhay, I understood this. If I want a different result, I need to have a different effort, a different thought process towards things. Thank you. Well done. Lovely. So let's look at it this way. The fruits are the physical things which you want in life, your results, but they actually come from the mental, emotional, and spiritual, which is below the ground, which is invisible. And over and above, we have always understood this, that no matter what, but the invisible is actually much more powerful than the visible. How many of you agree to the statement that I've made, that invisible is actually powerful than the visible? Type me in the chat box if you agree to that. Great. Thank you so much. Lovely. And that's where we need to realize that whatever things that we want, if you look at the last line, which of these fruits require money? What do you think? Let me know. Owning a property, car, education, travel, get fit, build relation, business, promoted. What all here requires money? All. Thank you, Maithili. That's what it is, right? Yeah, I can see a message from Rahul. Rahul saying a relationship doesn't. Okay, great. Lovely. Here's my suggestion. And again, a truth bomb. If you ever think that relationship and money is not related, trust me, you're in a bubble. It's about to burst. A truth bomb is coming your way. How do I know? No matter where you are, Rahul, in whatever life, in whatever income zone, see the way your family treats you now when you're earning money, and see the way tomorrow, quit the job, sit at home, Don't do anything and see within a month's time, the way people treat you will start to differ. Now, I am not saying they are bad people. No, they are the same. They love you genuinely. But, boss, you're not bringing any money to the house. How will everybody else do their regular stuff? How many of you realize the way people behave with you changes when you have जेब में पैसा लोग पूछेंगे भाई तू है कैसा? How many of you understood what I just said in Hindi? Type yes in the chat box if you understand that. Yeah, absolutely great. Thank you. And that's where I want all of you to know money is core and it is absolutely necessary. So, is it okay at this point if I give you one investment tip or a technique or a tool, which if you start implying, definitely you will have more financial freedom, you'll have more money, and you'll have a bigger corpus? Would you like to know this secret tip that I'm about to give you? Type me in the chat box if you're about to know. Because I know you're thinking, Abhay, what you're talking about is more about the mind. But give me like which stock should I buy? Which share should I invest in? So I'm about to give you one tip. Are you interested for that? Type me in the chat box and let me see everybody doing that. Great, lovely Akash. I love the energy. Amit, Maithili, Sagar, well done. So here's the tip. This investing tip actually comes from Warren Buffett. Who here knows who's Warren Buffett? Just let me know. If you know him, just type yes in the chat box. Now, yeah, I can see yes. He's the founder of the Berkshire Hathaway. Absolutely correct. He's an investor. He's a stock market guru. He's a businessman. He's one of the richest people in the world. All of you are absolutely right. So I had the blessing to once attend a session. It was a virtual session, but live session, which was with Warren Buffett's daughter-in-law, Mary Buffett, and it was also with a few stock investors. And Warren Buffett was called upon as a guest there. And he said something about a concept which I'm about to tell you right now. Firstly, this concept is to do with investing in the stock market. So some of you are not investing right now in the stock market. It's okay. Listen to this and start with this concept. Slowly, when you do it, you'll see a difference. So here's what it is. Understand this. He said the investing philosophy he shared, it's called as 1-to-1 investing. 1:1 investing. What is 1:1 investing? Everybody type down 1:1 in the chat box. 1, 2 dots, 1. Write this down. And I'm about to share with you. Very, very crazy. If you get this, trust me, your life is going to be great for sure. Okay. And I implemented it and I'll tell you the difference how. Remember when I said 7,000 rupees a month, staying on rent, traveling in trains, nothing, all of that, right? Today, luckily blessed, I have a car, and exactly how I implemented this to get the car and how today I don't even have to pay for my fuel. Petrol is free for me. Would you like to know how petrol is free for me? Type me in the chat box. If you want to know Kaisa, how is it petrol is going skyrocket, right? But I don't have to worry about it. How? I'll let you know. The 1:1 investing works in this way. Warren Buffett says, how do you know whether you afford something? Like, some of you might be, hey, I want to buy an iPhone. How do I know whether I can afford it? So Warren Buffett says this, you can afford anything if you can buy it twice. Some of you are like, huh, kya? Twice? How does it make sense? So it goes like this. Warren Buffett says, if you want to buy a phone and if the phone is worth 50,000 and if you only have 50,000, then don't buy phone worth 50,000, buy phone worth 25,000. Then what do you do with the other 25,000? He says 1:1 investing is in whichever company's product you buy, you invest the same amount you bought that product for in their stocks. That's 1:1 investing. You become a consumer, same amount you put it and you become an investor. Consumer to an investor, C2I. Everybody type this in the chat box, C2I. Let me give you an example. Some of you look confused. Kya, wapas samjha. I'll help you honestly in a simple way. How many of you have heard about Domino's Pizza? Type yes in the chat box if you have heard about Domino's Pizza. Yeah, thank you so much. Some of us must have been there, right? With our families, this, that. Imagine this. Now, this happened when I learned this technique. I actually did this with my family. I took them to Domino's Pizza. The bill was, say, 2,000 rupees. The moment I spent 2,000 rupees on Domino's Pizza, same day I put 2,000 rupees in Jubilant Foodworks Limited, which is stock market based, and the shares are there. I bought shares worth 2,000 there. So what am I doing? Whenever I'm consuming something, I'm putting money back in that company. So because I'm consuming, the demand for it is going up. Because I'm investing, my stock market price is going up. It is coming to a point that after investing for certain amount, you get a dividend. That dividend pays for that buying and you actually become financially free. And that's how I don't have to pay for petrol. Why? Over a period of time, I've invested so much in Indian oil as shares that the dividend that I get is enough for my monthly expense of petrol. So I only go and fill in Indian oil petrol pumps. The moment I pay around 4,000 for a fuel tank, 4,000 I invested back in Indian oil. And when I do it over a period of time, over the last 5 years, I have now enough investment there to give me a dividend, which is actually paying for the entire petrol price, and petrol is now free for me. How many of you understood this technique and you think it's actually cool, right? It makes sense. Type me in the chat box if you understood this. It is simply 1:1. Consumer becomes an investor. Type yes if you understood this. Absolutely great. Thank you. So remember, we need money and we need such investment concepts. And that's what we learn at the Millionaire Mind Intensive as well. Now, all of us require money for that, right? All the goals that we have requires money for sure. We want a better life. We want to travel. We want to help others, be our own boss. I had a dream that I set that I want to visit at least 50 countries in the world. Staying on rent, obviously, I cannot afford to go to even one. Things shifted, and within a few years of my time, after I learned these techniques, started implementing and seeing a different result after MMI, within 2 years I've managed to travel over 13 different countries, 1 3, and I already have 4 more countries lined up for next year. So that would be 17 within 3 years of time. How many of you think 17 is better than 0? Type me in the chat box if you agree to that. Absolutely great. Yeah, thank you so much. Recently, me and my wife, we went to Europe, we went to Germany, we went to Switzerland, we went to all these places which we only dreamt of at one point. Ki yaar, kabhi life mein we want to go. And we actually just planned it and it happened very easily. Didn't even burn a hole in the pocket. How many of you would want to come to that point and that stage where everything else is based on planning so you don't have to panic? How many of you want to be in that state? Type me in the chat box if you want to. Thank you. And that's exactly what happens in this entire journey of the 4 steps and at MMI as well. And this is where you get the time freedom. That's the ultimate goal, wherein you can do what you want to because you choose to do it, not because you're forced to do it. There's a difference. Some of us go to job and listen from the boss and yell and everything because we are forced because we want the salary. But I want you to choose to do it, not be forced to do it. There's a difference. I'm here to train because how many of you are seeing me? I'm enjoying this process, right? It doesn't look like, oh, I am under pressure. There's a burden. It's like I'm just sharing my journey with you and I'm loving it. And that's why you are learning and you are also enjoying having fun while you learn. How many of you agree to that? Type A in the chat box if you're observing that. That this doesn't look like work, right? It looks like a conversation. We are just speaking around. We are learning something. That's exactly what it is. The freedom to do it in the way that you want comes when you have the wealth. That's why I'm going to encourage this to you. The 4 steps that I'm about to teach you, or what I'm teaching you right now, we are at the third, we'll go to the fourth. I want you to know, don't ever think of yourself as someone who has been the learned, who knows everything, you know it all. No, because I'll tell you this small story. You see an old monk on screen, right? This old monk has nothing to do with the old monk that you might think of in your life. This is actually a typical old monk. And this is a true story that I've heard. It's somewhere in a monastery in Leh near Ladakh. How many of you have heard of Leh or Ladakh? Type me in the chat box if you've heard of Leh or Ladakh. There are a lot of monks there. So here's a true story. Once, a very famous businessman went to a monk in search of an answer to his question. So the moment he went inside, he asked the question to the monk. The monk looked at him and he started by saying, "Hi, my name is so and so. I'm the owner of these many companies. I've got this much money, this, that, da, 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 but I actually want to be happy." While all of this was happening, the monk was just looking and he's like, "Okay, would you like to have some water?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So the monk goes inside, gets a cup, gets a jug, gives the glass in the hand of the other person and starts pouring water. And he says, just tell me when to stop. So he's pouring water. Now the glass is little filled, 10%, 20, 30, 50, 60. The other person, the businessman is like, "Okay, stop, 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 stop." The monk doesn't stop. He goes on filling more water. Now the entire glass is overflowing. The water is falling down, dripping on his expensive watch, the ring, it's on his pant, on his expensive shoes. The businessman becomes irritated. He's like, "Hey, are you crazy, monk? Can't you see that the cup is already full? Why are you putting in more water? It is just going to be a waste of resources. Can't you see it?" The moment he said this, the monk had a smile on his face. And he said, "You know what? For the last 5 minutes when you came in, you're talking so much as if you know everything. I have this many companies, I have this much money, I have done this, that, etc. And then you're asking an advice from me. It's like this extra water, it's just going to fall down. If you really want to have my advice, empty your cup, become a lifelong learner. Then what I say will go inside the cup. How many of you are ready to empty your cup so that you can actually learn, unlearn from the past, learn something, and then relearn and apply in your life? How many of you are ready to empty your cup? Type me in the chat box if you're ready to empty your cup. It's absolutely essential. Because you know why? As humans, we create a lot of limitations and that creates a lot of issues. So here's a small video to help you understand. Everybody's eyes on the screen. How many of you agree to this that the limits actually exist in your own mind, right? The problem is the mind. A lot of us wants मेरे को stock का नाम बताना, Tata buy करूँ क्या, Reliance buy करूँ क्या? You don't realize that's like me giving you a fish. I would rather teach you fishing so that you become self-resilient. You don't have to depend on me for the next one. How many of you understand when I say we are the ones to create a limitations? If you understand this, type yes in the chat box if you get it. Because as you saw the ant, was there like a physical obstruction for the ant? Was it like a glass was kept on top? No, right? Yeah, thank you. I can see no coming in. If the ant wanted, could the ant have easily crossed? Well, absolutely yes. But did the ant cross? No. You know why? Because that circle was not just on paper, that circle was actually in the head of the ant. So if you are thinking, मेरे से नहीं होगा, I can't do it, there is no way that you want to do it for sure. And that's why we need to change that. That conditioning has to go. A new one has to set in. And that is exactly what we do at the Millionaire Mind Intensive. And that's how you come with a new mindset for a new result. So the one formula that we need to tweak and change is we need to have new beliefs so that we can have new thoughts, so that we can have new feelings, so that we can have new decisions, new actions, and new results. And you want to see what do I mean when I say new beliefs? Let's look at this. How many of you have heard of people around when you ask them, "Kaisa, how's you? How's life?" They're like, "Bas, chal raha hai. It's okay. Life is going on." How many of you have heard of people like that? Type me in the chat box if you've heard of people like that. Yeah, thank you. Simon, yeah, I can see Rushabh saying, "I am that people." I am like that. I answer to people, "Bas chal raha hai, kat rahi hai," and all of that. No, why? Because that's the typical way most of us live our life. Life is happening to us. I don't know what's happening. It's happening. Then I come to know what's happening. That's most of us. That's the old mindset. We need to change it to I create my life. I am in charge. I drive it. I control. This is the new set of beliefs that we want to establish. How do you establish this belief? That is exactly what happens at MMI. I'll tell you in a moment. But for now, understand the difference. Second, we play not to lose. What does that mean? Hey, my monthly expenses are 25,000. So somehow if this month I can pay the bills, I am okay. Next month we'll think about earning more. How many of you realize this mindset is playing not to lose? It's not actually to wealth create or it's not to win. It's actually not to lose. How many of you understand this? Type yes if you understand this. Thank you so much, Sagar. Absolutely correct. You would rather play to win. The idea is to create wealth. It's not to survive anymore. We almost think, it's a either or life. You can either take a red one or a blue one. Dono nahi. Bhai kyun? Why? Because we think, no, we can't afford. No, we are living the or life. The reality is, if you follow the money management system that we are about to tell you at MMI, you can actually live what we call as the and life, not the or life, which means you can manage your money in such a way you can actually get an ice cream and a dessert as well, a red and a blue as well, bike and a car as well. That's exactly what you can do. And that's what I've been doing as well. And I'll tell you more about it in a moment. So it's a shift in your thought. We resent. A lot of us do that. And be honest here. How many of you have experienced that the moment your friends or cousins or family or somebody else gets something that you want, the usual first reaction is, Yeah, congratulations. Whereas in your head, it's going, I deserve it more. They don't deserve it, but they still have it. I should be the one having it actually. You're actually and honestly feeling a little jealous. How many of you, this is a bulp on or a truth bomb right now? Type me in the chat box if you agree to this. On the surface, you're like, hey, congratulations on the new house, new car, new this, new that. Deep down, you're like, bhai, mera number kab aayega? When will I do this? How many of you have felt like that, or you know of people around who feel like that? Type me in the chat box. Yes. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Sagar. Thank you, Ankush, Arun, Maithili. You're absolutely right. So there's a community, an Adivasi kind of a community called as the Huna community, and it's in Hawaii in the US. And they say this. They say, bless that what you want. Everybody type this in the chat box. Bless that what you want. Which means what? Let's say I want a watch. I see somebody wearing a great watch. I look at them and I don't go, oh, I want that watch here. How did he get it? No, I'll go that, hey, you know what? That's an amazing watch here. It's just awesome. You're looking great in that. And I truly bless you for it. Amazing. The moment I bless that what I want, it will start to appear in my life. That's how universe works. It is of abundance, not of scarcity. How many of you understood this? Type yes in the chat box if you get it. Thank you. We always think, oh, the problems are so big. I'm so small. I'm only this much. My problems are this much. How will I do it? I cannot. It will not. All these negative things are around. Out of the 10,000 thoughts every day, 8,999 are negatives. How many of you agree to that? Type A in the chat box if you agree. When you come to MMI, when you learn, you realize you are actually bigger than your problem. So it's like this. Let's understand. When you were a child, the biggest problem was, what is sine theta upon tan theta? The biggest problem in life was that. What's the answer? I don't know. I have to, look around. Today, when you look back, it doesn't even matter. When you were a kid, the biggest problem was, what's the square of 17? But today, when you look back, it doesn't matter. What has happened, you 3-year-old and you now? What's the difference? The difference is you have grown so much that now you can handle the problems that come in your life. So problems are not a problem. Are you ready to pull up your socks and grow so that you can solve the problem? That's the real thing. How many of you understand this? Type you in the chat box if you understand this. So your new beliefs, your new thoughts, new feelings, new decisions, and new results is actually what you require to go towards the next step. And the fourth step, the next step towards achieving your financial freedom is exactly something which is very, very crucial and very important. And it's your time to now take an action so that you can take a bridge which will fulfill that skill gap, and you would then come to a point of financial freedom. So this skill gap that we spoke about in the morning when we started, we are about to go to the other side. The bridge is what I'm about to show you right now as an opportunity. And here's what I want you to do. When you see an opportunity, you need to grab it. Don't just wait there thinking, oh, I'll think I'll do later. No, you grab that opportunity, you walk that bridge, go to the other side, because that is where financial freedom lies for you. How many of you promise me that once you see an opportunity, you're going to grab it? Type GI in the chat box, which means grab it. GI means grab it. That yes, if I see an opportunity, I'm going to grab it. I'm not going to think, I'm going to do it for sure. Thank you. Well done, Maithili, Amit, Akash. Absolutely great. So, you remember when we started, I make 3 promises to you, right? Number 1, the time will fly by like this. How many of you realize if you look at your watch, already we are closing in on the session? How many of you agree that I kept the promise and the time flew like this? If you agree, type A in the chat box. Let me see if I could fulfill that first promise which I kept. Thank you so much, Akash. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you. Great experiences, Maithili. Yes, lovely. Now wait for this. How many of you agree that when you came in, there was a lot of prejudice, but you actually got a lot of value from today's session as well, more than what you actually expected? Type yes if you did that. Thank you. So we kept our second promise as well, right? Now we keep our third promise. And I want all of you to stay with me now till the end. We will wind up in the next few minutes. But before we do that, I have the next step for all of you. The third promise, which I'm going to keep right now. I am not the one to give you hope and go away. I want to stay with you and I want to come with you towards the other side and cross the bridge. So are you all ready for your next step towards your financial freedom? Type R in the chat box, and the number of R tells me how ready you are. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Maithili. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Arjun. Thank you, Arun. Well done. So the first step was knowing why you are the way you are. It's because of your past conditioning. Number 2, clarity. Where do you want to go in your life? What's your purpose? Why do you want to do it? Now you know what it is. Number three, the formula, how you need to change your beliefs, how you need to change your actions, your decisions, your results. Now comes the fourth one. Are you ready for the fourth step? Type 4 in the chat box if you're ready for the fourth step. What's the fourth step? How are we going to do it? Yeah, I can see 4 coming in. You're absolutely ready. The fourth step, how do you do it, is by taking an action and actually coming towards the next part. The next part is nothing but your MMI, Millionaire Mind Intensive. How many of you heard me say MMI like 3, 4 times in the last 90 minutes? How many of you heard me say that? Type MMI in the chat box if you heard me say that. That I've told you over and over again that I before MMI life was broke. I went to MMI, started implementing money management system, and today life is a lot better. I'll give you an example of that as well. But how many of you heard of MMI? Yeah, thank you, Maithili, Akash, Vaijanti, Vayalantha as well. Arun, well done. Thank you. So I'm about to talk to you about our 3-day program called as the Millionaire Mind Intensive or the MMI. Before this program, I was living on rent, making 7,000 broke. After this program, I am now on the verge of being financially free. All of my expenses are taken care of my passive income. I don't have to pay for the stuff. The money takes care of it. I have a house. I have all those things which I'll tell you in a moment. But for now, would you like to know, do I have your permission to give you a few insights as to what happens at the Millionaire Mind Intensive? Do I have your permission to take the next 5 minutes to help you understand about this 3-day program? And then if you see an opportunity and you think this is what I need, do you promise me to grab that opportunity and then you become a part of MMI and join us in the 3-day program? Do you promise me to take action and cross the bridge? If you do, type I am in. Type I am in. Let me see. If I'm going to give my 100%, are you ready to give me your 100%? Type I am in. Yeah, thank you, Akash. Thank you, Maithili. Thank you, Ronak. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Anil, Arun. Well done. So here's what MMI is, okay? The Millionaire Mind Intensive, what you saw today is a Millionaire Mind experience. It's like a trailer. Millionaire Mind Intensive is actually a 3-day full day program, starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, ends at 6 o'clock in the evening. And throughout the 3 days, you come and you learn on various aspects of financial freedom and managing your money. Would you like to know what all happens towards the Millionaire Mind Intensive? What happens on the 3 days? Would you like to know that? Type me in the chat box if you're interested and you would like to know what happens on the 3 days so that you can take an informed decision and you can come and join us and be a part of MMI. Great. Thank you so much for typing yes. In MMI, on the 3 days, what do you do? And this is what happened with me, okay? Real story. And this is very interesting. Listen to this carefully. When I enrolled for MMI, I was making 7,000 a month and I didn't have even enough money to do the program. My friend said, boss, come to MMI. 3 things you will learn there. Number one, you will learn about passive income. I looked at my friend and I said, boss, are you crazy? Don't you know that I don't have enough active income? What will I do of passive income? It's not for me. ये मेरे लिए नहीं है. How many of you are thinking like that? Type me in the chat box. You're thinking you're talking about passive income, but my active income is only not that much. So how is it for me? Will it work for me? And he said, that's the first thing. Yeah, thank you so much. See, I told you, right? We are in the same boat. I'm just a few years ahead of you. Everything else is the same story. That's it. Because I attended MMI early, I could do this today. You attend MMI now, you will do this tomorrow. It's as simple as that. Remember the random numbers? From 5 you went to 20 simply following the template. That's what we do at MMI. You follow it and you can have the same results as what we do. So number 2, he said passive income is one thing you will learn. Number 2, you will learn how to have multiple sources of income. Multiple sources of passive income. And I looked at him and said, boss, I don't have one single source of income and you want me to have multiple. It's not for me. How many of you are thinking like that as well? Please type yes in the chat box. If you're thinking, hi, yaar, ek bhi nahi hai, or he's asking multiple, how will it work? And I was exactly like that. And then again, I was like, okay, so what's up? So he's saying you will have a passive income, multiply your different income source. You'll have a passive income as well, and you will be financially free. And I was like, financial freedom, wo kya hai? I just need to pay my bills, so it doesn't work. So I was kind of thinking it's not for me. And he says, you will learn the easiest money management system. I looked at my friend and I'm like, I think you're not listening. I don't have money in my life. What will I manage? The moment I have money in my life, I will do this program and then I'll manage money. How many of you are thinking like that? Type me in the chat box. If you're thinking, हाँ यार मतलब मेरे पास तो पैसा ही नहीं है तो मैं मैनेज क्या करूं? So the day I'll have money, I'll have like lakh rupees, 5 lakh rupees, then I'll do this program and I'll manage money. How many of you are thinking like that? Great, thank you. I was exactly like you. So here's what he said. And my mentor, Thaddeus Lawrence, by the way, he's an international trainer and he'll be the mentor for you as well. And I was student with him and today I'm with him assisting the entire training. And it's a blessed journey to be from there to here. And he said this. He said, Abhay, how much do you make? I'm like 7,000 a month. He's like, is it enough? He said, no. He's like, would you like to know how to manage money? I'm like, Thaddeus, I don't have any money. What will I manage? And then he said this. He said, Abhay, it's not that one day you have money and then you manage it. It's that you manage money now with what you have, and because of which one day you will have money. It's the other way around. How many of you understood what I just said right now? Type you in the chat box if you understood. It's not that you have money and then you manage it. It's like you have to manage money to have money. It's the other way around. Type you if you understand that. Thank you. Absolutely great. And I trusted him and I was like, okay, let's do this. I borrowed money from somewhere and I went to the MMI. Would you like to know what happened after MMI for me? How life changed? If you want to know, just type yes in the chat box. Great. I can see a lot of you typing in yes, 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 yes. Well done. Thank you. I went in by borrowing money, attended the 3 days, implemented everything that I have. And after that, we were staying on rent. From that point to now, in 2021, I bought my own house in Mumbai, a 2 BHK with Hiranandani developers, 1.5 CR without any loan. Now, why am I sharing that with you? It's not to show you something or show off. It's just to say that believe me and trust me when I say this system works, because I'm a testimonial. I was on the other side, now I'm on this side, and I just followed this pattern which they're about to teach you at MMI. Nothing different, nothing great, nothing genius. And that's exactly what happened there. From staying on rent to coming to this position, from traveling in trains to now having 2 cars at the doorstep, simply following the system and the pattern that we had. How many of you would want to create that kind of a change for yourself within 2 to 3 years of time frame? Type me in the chat box if you want to do that. And I'm going to share very honestly how things were. Great. Thank you. So everyone, please write down the dates first, that where is the MMI happening, because it's a 3 day physical program. It's not happening online. It's happening in 2 different cities. Write down the first one. If you want to take a picture or a screenshot as well, or write this down. The first MMI which is happening is actually happening in 2025, and it's happening from 3rd, 4th and 5th of January. Where is it happening? It's happening in Delhi. What's the venue? It's JW Marriott in Aero City, Delhi. The timing is 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So this is the first place or the first city where it is happening. Now, I know some of you are already thinking, but Abhay, I am to from Mumbai, I am from Pune, I am from Navi Mumbai. Whoa, who will go to Delhi to learn? Trust me when I say this. When I was broke, not making money, I attended this program. I attended it in Bangalore. Now you might wonder, you didn't have money. How did you go? I borrowed whatever that I could. I felt this small. I felt this little while asking money because it feels terrible. But I did that. I went to the city and I did it. So for you, it doesn't matter which city is happening. It is for you to understand, is this the emergency situation? Is this the B situation? If yes, you need to come no matter where it is in India. So this is city number 1, which is Delhi. Everybody please write down the dates. City number 2, it's happening on 10th, 11th and 12th of January in Chennai, and it's happening at Feathers Radha Hotel, again 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I'll repeat again, 2 cities it is happening. First, it is happening in Delhi from 3rd, 4th and 5th of January. And then it is happening from 10, 11 and 12th of January, which is happening in Chennai, Feathers Radha Hotel. So these 2 venues are out right now. Some of you might wonder, Abhay, I am from Mumbai, from Bangalore. Will it happen in that city as well? For now, we have these 2 cities blocked and we want you to make sure you find a way to travel, come and be a part of this. This is very, very crucial. Yeah, Amit says, how can these 3 days help me change my mindset? Exactly. What will happen on these 3 days is what I'm about to tell you right now. Day 1 is a day of unlearning. Whatever you have learned in your past, we take it out, throw it out, and we set a new pattern for you on day 1. Day 2 is the transformation day. The new pattern that you have set, we implement that with the systems that we have. And that's when you actually know how difference and what will you see in your life. On day three, you have a breakthrough moment. You break all the patterns. You learn the easiest money management system and you know how to apply it. And we also provide you with a 90-day hand holding throughout, which happens later. So you get a complete system one by one by one throughout when you come at the MMI. So that is what is going to happen. Would you like to see a glimpse, a tiny 1 minute glimpse of what happens at MMI? If you would want to see that, type me in the chat box. Let me see how many of your winners here who are going to be with me till the end and take action. Type yes if you want to see this. Great. Here we go. Your eyes on the screen now. From the video right now, just sitting at your place, but you could still feel like, oh my god, this looks so like larger than life, and you feel like you want to be a part of it. Type I am in. I am in. If you feel like, oh, this is where I want to be, I want to learn, I want to break through the patterns, I want to experience it, I want to do everything I can to break this, and I want to do it. Type I am in if you are ready for this. Great. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Maithili. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Ronak. So that's what it is, and it's just showed you. Now, when you join us, you would join us as our gold members. We call our tickets as gold tickets. Now, I know some of you are thinking about gold ticket. So, is there a silver or a bronze ticket, like a little lesser expensive, perhaps? Well, the idea is no. We have only one category, which is the gold category. Why? Because gold is actually a good investment for passive income. How many of you have seen gold prices go up over the last few years? Type G in the chat box. G means gold, which means, yeah, truly, yes, that is what is important and necessary. Well done. Thank you. So when you come as our gold guest. What do you get over the 3 days? For the investment that you're going to put in, you get your tea, coffee, and lunch for all 3 days. Now, it's in a five-star hotel, right? So the lunch itself is a little expensive there, but we take care of it. No other country where MMI happens, and by the way, MMI happens in over 90 different countries, 90. No other country gives you food, tea, and coffee. It's only India, and because of Success Gyan and its founder Suren, that is what is the reason why we get this. Okay, Amit says Suren will also be there. Absolutely great. Yes, he will be there. You get a Millionaire Mind intensive workbook. And you also get a secret psychology of wealth. It's a content pack of audio and video content, which is priceless, which you get. So these are all the things that you get apart from 3 days of in-person live training by the content created by T. Harvekar, the founder of the entire MMI. And it's going to be delivered by a world-class trainer coming in specially from Singapore, having multiple property portfolios all around the world. His name is Thaddeus Lawrence, and he'll be there to train you personally. I'll be there to help you out as well throughout the 3 days. So that is something which is coming to you. Now, I know you're wondering, Abhay, ye sab theek hai, but what's the investment? Tell me, kitna? How much do I have to invest? How many of you have that as a question? Type yes in the chat box. If you're thinking, yeah, I need this, I want this, but then how much do I have to pay? What's my investment? Type me in the chat box if that's the question. Great, thank you. Now, I know some of you are looking on screen and you're like, 39,999. Oh my God, that's too much. No, I cannot. Your voices would be in your head like this right now. I want you to take a deep breath in, deep breath out, and listen to this carefully. What you see on your screen is the cost for us to set up the event. Because when you come there for 3 days, when you have the lunch, when you have the tea, the coffee, the entire materials, all of that, this is a per person production cost for us. But this is not the cost which is going to come for you. We have something called as the at seminar special, at webinar special. That is a gift from us to you. You remember when we started, I said we have a gift for you. Stay with us till the end. Well, it's time for you to receive that gift. How many of you are willing to receive the gift that comes your way? Type I am in. I am in says that I am in. I'm ready to receive the gift that comes my way. Type I am in. Because for the first 10, only the first 10 who are will click on the link when I put it in a moment and register for the Millionaire Mind Intensive, the 3-day live event when you learn about multiple income streams, passive income, financial freedom, breakthroughs, all of it. For you, it's not going to be 39,999 on the website or somewhere else. It shows 19,999. It's not even going to be that much for you, not even that much. If you're willing to skill gap and fill it and come towards the other side, the way it worked for me, would you like to know? Did I recover the money that I invested in MMI? Would you like to know that? Type yes or no if you would like to know that. Because here's what happened, and I get goosebumps when I share this. The amount that I invested in MMI, I borrowed, I traveled to Bangalore to do this, I managed the stay there, and I did all of it. And I thought, why am I wasting money? Will it help me? All these thoughts before MMI. After MMI, from what I was 7,000 a month, and listen to this carefully, after MMI, I just implemented the money management system, did the way that I was doing, changed the way I was doing what I was doing, and in a single day, one day, what I could do when I took an action and crossed the bridge in a single day from 7,000 a month, I actually reached to a point thanks to this guy Suren, because he gave a very, very, very special offer. And in a single day from 7,000 a month, I implemented it and I reached to 7,36,759 in a single day. In a single day. I know some of you are like, what did he say 7 lakhs in a day? Is that possible? I'll show you a proof of it a little later, because some of us are like, proof dikha, is it real? But I want you to know, you're getting a absolutely no-brainer. I paid more for MMI than what you're going to invest in because of this guy Suren. He's the founder and a CEO of Success Gyan, and he's on a mission. He's on a mission to bring world-class education to India at an affordable rate and make India the training capital of the world. So everybody in the chat box type hi Suren. Let's everybody type hi Suren. And it is because of him that you 3 days at MMI, full day 9 to 6, including your lunch, tea, coffee, the workbook, all the experiences, you don't have to pay 39,999. You don't have to pay 19,999. Only for the first 10 who click on the link in a moment, which my team member Vanilla will put in the chat box. When I tell her, she'll click on it. You will click on it. You will register for the program. Make sure you do the payment and then type I am in. The moment you type I am in, we officially welcome you towards your Millionaire Mind Intensive. Because for the 3 days of Millionaire Mind Intensive, you don't have to give 39,999. You don't have to give 15,000 or 19,999, not even 12,000. Only and only for the first 10, it comes to you for a super value price of 8,500 plus GST. That's it. So go ahead, click on the link right now, which is put up by Vanilla, register yourself and then type I am in. It's only for the first 10 who get all the bonuses in this. I paid 10,000 plus GST way back when I did, and I could recover all of that in a single day. So I'm going to keep a timer for 10 minutes right now, but I want you to go ahead and register and then type I am in. How many of you are going to be a part of the Millionaire Mind Intensive? Type I am in the chat box. Let me see. You see an opportunity, you grab it, right? Let me see how many of you are willing to grab it. Amit says I'm already in. That's great, Amit. If you're in, let us know. Amit says I am in. Amit's iPhone says I am in. Lovely. Click on it, register right now. And I know you're interested. Abhay, tell me, did it actually work for you? Here is a screenshot for you to know. This is 7,36,749. And I'm blessed to say this was a single day transaction way back. Now, what I want you to know is this. When I showed that picture, that screenshot to my mother is looking at me and she's like, Abhay, are you doing something wrong? And I'm like, no, why? She says, you have not earned this much in a year before. How can you earn it in a day? You're doing something wrong. You know, she cares. And I said, you know what, Ma? I have been doing it wrong all throughout till this point. I finally got to know how to do it right. And from here, I'm only going to do what's right. How many of you are ready to know how to do it right? Type I am in, click on the link and register right now. And I'm going to take any and all the questions that you have to help answer it so that you can be a part of this journey and come and join the Millionaire Mind Intensive. So go ahead and let me know in the chat box once you are through with the registrations. And if you have any questions, please ask me. Yeah, I can see a question coming in from Rahul. He says, who is the trainer? As I said, the trainer is an international certified trainer by T. Harvecker. He comes from Singapore. His name is Thaddeus Lawrence, and he is probably the best when it comes to managing money and helping you understand this. So I hope I could answer that. The second question that has come in is from Ronak. Ronak says, does it also include the stay? Okay, very good question, Ronak. Thank you. The price or the investment that you have of 8,500 plus GST, that includes your course tuition, that includes your lunch for 3 days, your tea, coffee, your book, your materials, your experience, the training, everything. The stay is what you need to take care of separately on your own. That's not a part of this particular package. I remember traveling to Bangalore. I need to travel in a train because I didn't have money for the flight as well. I remember taking like a cheap hotel next to the venue just to manage it. I did everything that I could. And the result is what you saw on the next slide. In a single day, we could recover whatever it is. So I know it's not easy to trust people. I know for